Welcome to LearnPianoLive.com. This is an advanced lesson. So this is for students who are known by their friends as a pianist. You've got hopefully some knowledge of chords, maybe some sheet music reading, some sight reading skills. You know chords. You've been playing enough to impress almost all of your friends with your piano skills. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you're in the lesson and it feels way too advanced, you might want to go check out yesterday's lesson, the intermediate version of this week's topic, or the lesson before that, the beginner's lesson, because those will break down the same concepts, only easier. So, but if you are an advanced student, then ask away. No question is too advanced or too obscure. So this is just all about you. You got to ask me the questions so I know what to answer and know how to help you out best. There's a couple other things I want to talk to you about too before this countdown clock gets to 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You can ask your questions there. Or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then when you click submit, then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but it works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally, in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really going to happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archives, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. All right, so honestly, I'm almost afraid to tell you this, but today, out of the 8 sectors of musicianship, the one that we're focusing on is improvisation. So this is, making stuff up, the much beloved, much feared improv sector. So anyway, this is, hopefully you're going to leave with a little better idea of how you can make up great sounding stuff and not have to necessarily have sheet music in front of you in order to be able to play cool sounding stuff and impress your friends and to have fun on the piano. So it's improv. Here we go. Welcome. So today we are talking about improvising and some of the advanced skills in that. Let's just go ahead and jump in and get to this thing. Here we are. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and go to this one. You guys are the advanced students, so I'm just going to go to the full keyboard here. So this is the chord progression. Hopefully that doesn't throw you too bad. We're in the key of F, in case you hadn't picked that up already by watching the improv here. Maybe you were just playing along. Hopefully you were just playing along. So we got F and then G minor and A minor. And of course, as always, you can just take the sevens and add those on there. I didn't do that for the beginners or the intermediates for obvious reasons, but this F is going to be a major 7, so that's going to be have that E in there, F, A, C, E, the major 7, because it's a half step away from the root. If it was a whole step away from the root, like the E flat, that would be an F7 or an F dominant. So F major 7 or F triangle 7. You don't say triangle, you say major, but it's a triangle to indicate major 7. And then the rest of these, G minor 7 and A minor 7, G minor 7, back to F major 7 at the end of that. So today we're going to talk about neighbor tones, escapes, and appoggiaturas. So these are all just different types of embellishments to put on the notes that you would play otherwise. So let's say that you were going to play just an F, and that was the note that you had in mind for your improv. So we were going to play something like, let's see here. Straight up F. So we can automatically turn this into something instead of nothing by just taking that one and playing the note that is on either side of it. So these are called neighbor tones because it's the tone that's a neighbor to it. So sounds great. And then if you start combining them, this was obviously the upper neighbor tone right here. We're going from the F to the upper neighbor tone and back. This is the lower neighbor tone going from the F down to E and coming back. And then this would be an example of maybe using both of them. So we could go from the F down to the lower neighbor tone, back up to the original F, and then up to the upper neighbor tone, and just using those 3 notes. Those 3 tones, and of course the whole time I'm thinking just F. I'm not even thinking about the neighbor tones on both sides. I am hearing them, so they come as embellishments to the main note. But the main note that I've got in my head is that's all just F. I'm not thinking about each individual little movement. So you can do that on each one of the main tones from yesterday. We talked about how the 1 is important, how the 5 is important, and then after that the 3 and the 2 and the 6. The 4 and the 7, less so. So we can do that with the 5 or the 3 as well. So we take this one. Now, generally, there's 2 different types of neighbor tones. There's a chromatic neighbor tone, and then there's a diatonic neighbor tone. So a diatonic neighbor tone is going to stay inside of the scale. So if I was going to do a diatonic neighbor tone to this one, the diatonic lower neighbor tone to C into the key of F is going to be a B flat, not a B, because B is not in the key of F. So if I wanted to stay inside the scale, I'd go to the B flat. Now, as we talk about enclosures and things like that, that does not take into consideration the key in a lot of cases. So you could use this one right here, even though it's not in the key. So I'll try to show you an example of both using this B, the chromatic lower neighbor tone to C, and also the diatonic lower neighbor tone to C, the one that stays inside the key.
just concepts from yesterday, the 1 and the 5, and then the neighbor tones around the 1 and the 5. Now, escapes and appoggiaturas. So this is kind of the same concept, just in reverse. So in 1, we're going to have a key note in mind. For example, F. So this is the note that we're thinking about. We're going to start far away from the F, come over to the other side of the F, and then land on the F. So we're a ways away, we come really close to it, and then turn around and land on it. So the example I give you here is if that's the key note, if that's what we're going for, that's the goal note, we can start far away, like right there, and then we would jump past the F, past the goal note, and land on it. So it's that as opposed to something like, which would be like from yesterday's lesson, playing the 1s and the 5s. So that would be starting away from the C, going past it, and coming around to the other side. Now, you can go the other direction as well. So we could play this C, go past the F, and then land on the F. Now, the other concept is that you go in the opposite direction. You start away from the note. You go in the opposite direction of the goal note, and then you skip back around to land on it. So, for example, for keeping this as the goal note here, this F, we play the C, we go away from the goal note, and then jump to it. And that works in both directions as well. So you can start down here, and then go away from the goal note, and then land on it. So, some examples of that. And then, of course, you can do the neighbors of the notes that are away from the goal note. So if you're here, then not only are we going to go here and go away from the goal note and come back to it, but we're going to do the lower neighbor tone first. There's some ideas for you, some neighbor tones, some appoggiaturas. I am doing the wrap-up already. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we will get to your questions. Refresh the page here and see what else we have. All right, so our wrap-up. We've got appoggiaturas, escape tones, and neighbor tones. These are always just to decorate the concepts that we've already talked about in the previous lessons. We talked about a little bit about 7s here, but that's about it. A lot of this stuff, of course, having to do with improvisation, has to do with you experimenting with this stuff, you hearing what you think sounds good, and then trying to replicate that over and over, and in doing so, finding your own style. Most people's, and hopefully this is, what I'm about to say doesn't apply as much in the advanced lesson, but I'm always surprised by what level student is intimidated by this stuff. There is no like right answer. Whatever you find you think sounds good, that sounds good. And in almost 100% of the cases, I take a student who plays something and they go, all right, but I don't know what else to play. And I can sit down and play that exact same thing for them. And they go, oh, that sounds really good. What'd you do? And every time I'm like, I played it with some passion. I played it with some energy. I played it like I believed in it. But the notes are already there. They'll sound good if you believe in them. And if you've played it before and you liked some of it before, but you have to be open to it sounding good and not waiting for something to be the right note, because nothing is going to be the right note any more than in social situations. You got the same thing, like, what do I say? How do I know when I've said the right thing? Well, there's definitely the wrong thing to say, so you're going to go out and you're going to practice, and when you say the wrong thing, you're going to apologize, and then you're going to try to remember that for next time. That's not what I want to say next time. Same thing here. So you're going to hit some wrong notes. They're going to sound terrible. Don't play those ones in the future, or play them in a different context, or whatever. It all has to do with your experimentation, and there's no one, not myself, not anyone else, who's going to be able to tell you whether it's right or not. No, other people will try to tell you if it's right or not, but don't listen to them. What you think sounds good is what you think sounds good. That's your style. So let's get to your questions, and let's see here. We've got, where does this show up in Clopple Academy? This is in the new editions. So if you've already been through, if you're on one of the old syllabuses, like you've been on the same one for, let's say, 4 months or more, you don't have the jazz stuff yet, so then you would not have this. But if you are on the new syllabi, then it is, I believe in level like 3 or 4 that this stuff would start being really important. But even on level 1, we have the improv section on level 1, and you could totally throw this stuff in there and show your advanced skills on that. So anywhere you're asked to improvise is where this shows up in Clopple Academy or life. Next question. How does your piano work? Yeah. So it works just like your piano. If you have an upright piano or a grand piano, then the mechanics are very, very similar. The only difference in mine is, obviously, I ripped all the covers off, so it looks super cool when I play it. But yours looks super cool when you play it too if you take the front off of it. It doesn't affect the playing at all, but it does make it more susceptible to little kids poking at things, and it also, at least it's susceptible to getting dirty. I think mostly just people don't like the way that it looks, but my wife doesn't really come in my music studio, so she doesn't really care or vote on how it looks in here. I think it looks cool, and I like to look at it, and I've learned a lot about this piano just from ripping the cover off of it and then like playing and being intrigued. Oh, I didn't even realize there was a spring in there, or that this thing does that, or whatever. So it's been an education for me. I'm planning on putting together like a video on how it works, but there's lots of great videos out there already. But I'll try to do something unique, I guess, with mine. We'll see. Anyway, it looks like that's all of our questions. So if you have any other questions, you're in the archives, then let me know, and I will definitely get those answered for you. And until next time, next week we're doing a cover of the song. I don't have it listed here. Bummer. Okay, we're doing a cover of a song that I guess we're voting on still. Yeah, I'm sure it will be fine. Good. Show up, don't show up, whatever. Whatever you're working on, work on it hard. Go practice. You know I love you. Until next time, good luck. Have fun.